Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shelly. So today I thought I would take a few minutes right before my first meeting and do some Laura Lee makeup. I've got her new Nudie 2 palette, or her Nudie 2. I guess it's not Nudie 2, but it says Nudie number 2. And then I also picked up her blush aesthetic. Thought we'd try those. I have only one other like legit Laura Lee palette, and that's the Nudie, which is this one, and it's a, you know, nude eyeshadow palette. And then I also have a dupe for her Cat's Pajamas. I didn't get the original one, but C Color Cosmetics has a, let me take the cover off. That's Cat's Pajamas. That's a little bit more my vibe because it's a little darker, a little deeper than say Nudie is. Bought it when I went on a like C-color bender when I first found them because all of the dupes, right? You've seen some of the dupe videos because I've since picked up like the authentic ones, the original inspiration palettes. So you've seen some of those videos, but not all of them. Take a look at this palette. So this is the Nudie number 2. We've got like one sort of apricot-y color right down here. A couple golds that look very similar. A mid-tone pink, looks like a satin, a dark aubergine, a darker brown. It looks like it has maybe a little bit of a pink undertone to it, and then this brown, which is a little more of, I want to almost say like a yellow undertone to it. These two are beautiful. That's beautiful. Okay, you know what? We've got some inspiration here. Let's throw some of this on our eyeballs and just see how we feel about it. I'm gonna scoot you in. So let's get into this palette. What do I want to do here? I'm gonna end up probably regretting going in with so many colors, but I'm gonna take the peach right now. And I didn't put any eyelid primer on. Sometimes I don't do that when I'm just like working from home like I am today. Might go run an errand. I say errand, I don't really mean an errand. I messed up my ankle like 2 weeks ago, and it's not like the joint of it, but it's like I hit my shin on something, and 2 months later, over 2 months later, it's still excruciating. So, and it's not, I don't like notice it when I'm walking, but when I touch it, it can send me through the roof. So I probably ought to get it checked out. I probably ought to should have gotten it checked out a month ago. But I've been busy, I've been traveling, and you know, of course, your own personal care and maintenance ends up going out the window. All right, we got the first transition shade on. Yeah, it's actually a little bit more pigmented than I thought it was gonna be, so I really like that. I think this color story really gives you, in my opinion, like really two solid color stories. You get a warm one and a cool one. I wish they would have laid out the shades a little differently. I have to swatch these two. Lush and Sheer in the pan look very similar. Okay, they're not. I swatched them side by side. So this is Sheer down here, and this is Lush up there. And it's pretty. It's a pretty coppery color. But in the pan, these two looked actually very similar. Just looking at it, confused. But I'm not now. So since I use that peach color, let's stick with a warm vibe right now. So I'm going into this patootie right here. I just use the same brush. Bother cleaning or switching brushes out because cleaned a bunch of brushes before I went to bed last night. And because the size of brush seems to work really well. What is this? This is a Morphe E17. Okay, formula wise, it's fine. Oh my gosh, Zeus just came in here tilting around. I'm contouring on both eyes. Yeah, I think those colors are okay. I'm gonna take this. I probably should have done like this quad here and then do something else with this quad, but I used that. I think it's in the wrong place. Whoopsie. Okay, we're taking that darker bronze color. Oh, beautiful. Nice formula. It feels almost like, and now it's gonna sound weird because, I mean, this is kind of a high-end brand in my opinion, but it has the same sort of creaminess as like the LA Girl and the BH, like metallic-y shimmers. It just feels very thick and creamy for a shimmer as opposed to kind of thin. Okay, I'm gonna go in with a little bit more. You know, it's funny because I think lately I've been noticing a lot of women with just like super simple eyeshadow, one color. And I gotta be honest, I'm a little jealous. I'm just like, I can't ever leave well enough alone, right? I'm taking the gold in here just on a brush this time, and there. Yeah, I feel like I see somebody with like just one color, super, super pretty, simple look, and I'm just, you go, one, I don't know if I could wear just that shade and not have additional like contouring. On the other hand, I'm like, oh, I should try, because that's what I do is I play with makeup. I'm gonna grab that same brown that I used on the outside, grab a little here. And I think for my time commitment right now, I'm gonna leave it like that. Yeah, you know what? I mean, this is a boring look. This is not super creative, but maybe on a regular daily basis, we don't do super creative. I don't. I mean, especially if I'm getting in to a meeting of some kind. I do like that I have warms and cools in here. I think that actually bodes really well if I were going to travel with this particular palette. I think I've got, you know, kind of a couple different variations that I could do a subtle work look and not feel insecure or uncomfortable about it and not feel like I was trying too hard. Let's look at their, I didn't put any mascara on or eyebrows, but let's look at their blush palette. So I've never tried the Laura Lee blush before. This is a huge palette. It's heavy, it's super heavy. I like that we have this really orange color and we've got like a deep plum color. These two pinks look very similar. One's just maybe a touch darker. That definitely has like more of a dusty feel to it. And we've got a little apricot-y. This might be the one I have to use today. And I do have a little bit of the Soul Cream body bronzer on already. Put on some foundation. What did I use? I used the Fenty Eavesdrops foundation today. And a little of the Pretty Vulgar concealer, and then the Soul Cream bronzer. Okay, so I've gone in 3 times to pick up that shade. It's very subtle. Okay, it's kind of built up. I might have to do that darker shade actually. Going in for a 3rd time. The good thing is I don't see a ton of kick up. It's very tightly pressed. Yeah, I'm gonna go in with the darker shade. So the first one was Peach Fuzz. That's Peach Fuzz. I'm gonna go in with Strawberry Ice Cream, which is this one down here, and start up here. Yeah, those two work pretty well together. All right. There is a highlighter in here. It's called Golden Haze. Okay, I don't mind that. We're going for a warm look today. Who knew? I didn't know. I picked up 3 liquid lips that I think was released at the same time as the Nudie 2. So let's take a look at the shades that I got. Maybe one of them will actually work with this all of a sudden warm look. Okay, cute packaging. This one is called, do I have glasses? I do. Hold on. Hold please. So this first one is called Topless. Take a look at what Topless looks like. Kind of a neutral pink shade. We'll go with probably the pink colors in that palette. Next one, oh, that's definitely a nude shade. This one's called Nakey Nakey. This is going to be a contour shade for me, I think, or a highlighting like center of the lip. I've got something too dark. That's just too pale of an all over the light shade for me. I love the packaging though. I don't know if you can really get, but it's like curved all the way around, and then you've got like a little angled tip, but it feels a little bit more angular once you get towards the tip. I don't know, the packaging, I don't have anything like it. Sometimes I can look at, you know, a lip gloss or a lipstick or whatever and go, oh yeah, that's the same packaging as something else. Kind of like the ABH foundation, I think I've mentioned before. It's like the same package as Zoeva, same component as Zoeva and Believe Beauty. It seems, to me, they seem identical. Okay, this is the last shade right here. This looks like it's a little warmer and deeper. Oh, that's pretty too. Okay, and this one is in shade Jaybird. I guess it would be naked as a Jaybird. We're gonna do 2 of these shades just to see. Laura Lee lip liner, but I do have a Jason Wu one. Let's try this. As far as lip liners go, hard to go wrong with the subtle lip liner. Okay, then this one actually needs to be sharp. Shade is Royal. I don't really know what I'm getting Royal out of it, but let's try the Jaybird out here. Actually, I'm gonna go all over. I'm just gonna layer the other one right on top. Yeah. Aside from not being able to talk while I'm putting it on, all right. I almost thought that shade was gonna be too dark when I swatched it because it swatched so dark, but it actually is not once I put it on the lips. That's actually a nice undertone to it as well. I'm gonna let that dry down for just a second while I put some mascara on. Sometimes I put mascara on and then I go, okay, that's all I need, we're done. And then sometimes I go, well, I might need a little bit more. I should just leave well enough alone right now. I mean, I'm working from home. I don't need to be too glammed up. And I might have my camera on today too for work, so sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. This is a different size than the original Nudie Patootie. Nudie 2 is a little smaller. Here, let me show you. I'll compare the 2 side by side. So this is the original Nudie Patootie. This is the Nudie 2. You can see that it's less product and less bulk length. So the original Nudie Patootie has 14 shades in it, and the Nudie 2 only has 10 shades. So if that makes a difference to you, kind of like a pencil tip brush. I'm actually gonna take, I think I'm gonna take this purple, and we're gonna put a little of that right on the outside out here. Yeah, okay, so that's actually kind of cool because it's not a super harsh line. It just gives a little bit of definition to that outer lash line, which I think for me lifts my eyes a little bit. So I mean, I did drag that brown under there, but this is just kind of richening it up just a little bit. Can't leave well enough alone. I guess I'm the queen of smoky eyeshadows. Okay, what else do I need? That lipstick is dried down. I'm gonna go over the top of it, or the center of it, with just this lighter shade. That's not a shade that I would normally wear on its own. All right, that kind of lightened it up, but it also gave it a little bit of dimension. I don't mind that. I suspect it's going to dry down matte as well, that this Laura Mercier powder has so much shimmer to it. We're going to be extra glowy today. I didn't intend for that. It's a healthy, radiant glow, right? All right, you guys, that's it for today's try on with the Nudie 2 palette. You know, I did a boring neutral look, but this is kind of one of those everyday palettes. It's not really something that you're going to go, wow, I'm going to be super creative. This is what gets you by, right? This gets you a couple shades for work, whether you're doing kind of a pink cool tone look or whether or not you're doing a warmer neutral look. You've got that. I think this probably, because it went on opaque enough, I think this could really bring some drama to a look. These golds were different. They looked very similar in the pan, but this is way more of a bronzy, darker shade, and I really like it. This one was maybe a little bit light for an inner corner highlight, but I made it work for me. These two I'm super excited to get into. I want to come back and do, I'm excited to play with these two. One of those, actually, you know what? They both feel more like toppers. Yeah, these two glittery shades right here in the middle, they're not the creamy formula these are. These are truly just like toppers. I don't need any more glitter on my eyelids, but might as well just tap a little bit right there. Yeah, that brought a whole lot of sparkle. Now I've just taken it far too far for work, but I'm working from home, right? And I can't do whatever I want. That's the reality of it, is what it is. Okay, so and when I put that other shade on my lips, I almost feel like it went too cool toned, which is kind of strange. I don't know. I'm not sure that I love that lighter shade. Okay, this liquid lip I think does dry down very nicely. I feel like both of these pinks might be too cool toned for what I got out of that palette from my first attempt on it. We are going to have to come back and play with some of the pinker shades, I think. What do you guys think of that? Maybe this will be a 2-look video. I'll do that. So the next time you see me in just a couple seconds, I will be clean-faced, probably a different day, and I'm going to do a pink look. So hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm not on day 2. This is several days later, and I finally got a chance to sit back down, and I wanted to do something with the pinky tones in the same palette. This is the Laura Lee, wait, that's the blush palette. The Nudie 2 palette that I used some of the warmer shades, but I didn't use any of the pinks. So we're gonna come back and do a second look with the pinks. I don't recall exactly what I had on my skin the other day, but today I've got an ABH foundation, some Dose of Colors concealer just under my eyes a little bit. I did put on the e.l.f. Jelly Pop lip mask, and just hydration until I go in and do the matte lip. I also have the ABH eyeshadow primer. It's pretty opaque. I tried to, after I applied it, I went over the top of it with a damp beauty blender just to try to minimize it a little bit because it's very raccoon-like if I'm not careful. And then I also did the JCat Masterclass. This is like their, what are they calling this? This is a Face FX color palette. This one's in medium deep. I used actually the second to the darkest shade just as a little bit of contouring, and it's maybe a little warmer than I needed, in all honesty. But I wasn't smart enough to grab another contour before I get in here. Let me scoot you guys in and let's get into our second look with this palette. These pinks are awfully pretty. So I thought we would maybe just use this. This has a little bit of sparkle to it, so I don't know how that's gonna translate onto lid. I usually don't do anything too sparkly on this hood, the hooded lid situation. I gotta get centered here, sorry you guys. I'm like, oh, I'll just move my face as opposed to just moving the mirror in front of me. So yeah, that's not coming across as too shiny. Maybe the glitter in the top is, it doesn't seem to be just on the surface, but it's also not translating as being super shiny on the lid either. It's actually a pretty color, just kind of a soft wash. I'm not getting any skipping or anything. I think I let that ABH eyelid primer, I'm just still using the same color, dry down a little bit. I just figured I'd kind of build it up maybe a little bit more in that crease area. Just sort of ombreing the shade from the sheer blend up in the eye right below the brow, a little darker. Okay. That's actually cute. I'm gonna go in with this brown over here. That's not the one I used the other day. The other day I used this brown right here. This time I'm using this one. It's called, so the first shade was called Blushing. This one's called Low Cut. It's the same brush. What is this brush? This is a Sigma E38 brush. A little bit bigger than I probably need, but this is me being lazy. Just getting eyeshadow. That happened. All right, shadow looks like it's blending in well. the different formulas. Like one's a matte, it's going into the one with it's more of a satiny with like a suspended sparkle. They're blending in well together. See any issues with that? Very little kick up in the pan that I'm noticing so far. Okay, let's deepen it up. We're gonna go into the darkest kind of aubergine. It almost looks more brown in here, but in the eye it looks very purple, like a aubergine's the best color I can describe it. It's very wine. It's a dark wine color called Risque. So I'm taking it just on the tip of this same brush that's far too big for the surface space that I'm using right now, the real estate. But boy, that actually is working really well. I was thinking I needed to switch to a smaller brush, but it's really kind of blowing out and diffusing. Rather pretty. Yeah. All right, Laura Lee. Yeah, that color's super pretty. So I'm basically just kind of tapped into it. I put it on the outer corner, and then as it's moving up, it's diffusing a little bit, but blending into those other shades. And it's keeping it low enough where I'm not doing like this crazy, you know, big lifted eye look. I don't know how much that shade builds up. We'd have to play with it and see. Maybe we'll do a little bit of that. But as far as like a daytime look that's like slightly smoky but not too over the board, or maybe if you're doing a super classy nighttime look, it's not too colorful, I think that actually is really pretty. Okay, we're gonna try this shade right here called Skimpy. I'm not sure it's the most perfect shade, but boy, is it ever creamy. Okay, it's a little warmer than I wanted it to be, frankly. Thought I was doing more of a pink look, and then all of a sudden that went coral. Or not coral, like copper. Don't get me wrong, it's very pretty with the pinks and the plums that I've already put on. It's just not as pink as I thought it was gonna be. I feel like it all of a sudden just really warmed up the rest of the eye look. Not a bad thing, just not really what I thought I was gonna get into. So we're gonna try this shade right here called Cheeky. I think, is this the one that I said was a topper? Yeah, that feels like more like a topper to me. Have I really tried every single shade in this palette now? 10 shades. Okay, I am gonna grab a little bit smaller of a brush. I'm gonna go back into this darker purple here, and I'm just gonna continue to build up a little bit on my lash line higher. You know, I feel like sometimes I should try something other than this kind of smudged, smoky look, but it's what I think I feel best in. So I guess it's kind of like, you know, clothing, when you find a style of skirt or something that works well for your frame. Do you go for something trendy, or do you just stay in what works? I guess you trend it up with patterns maybe, as opposed to cut. Okay, so I'm gonna go back into the blush palette. I think I really, I'm gonna use the dark color. We're gonna use a dark color. We're gonna keep it up here to start with. I have always loved blush. I've always been an abuser of blush. Yeah, actually I like that. Wasn't sure how I'd be with such a dark color, but because I'm an abuser and lover of blush, I'm going for it. Yeah, I like that a lot. I'm not even gonna go with any more. I was thinking, oh, I'll try something else in here, but I'm leaving well enough alone. Do I wanna do a little of a lighter color? I'm gonna totally gank it up right now. I'm gonna take this light pink right here. I wasn't going to, a little bit of it right here. Maybe a little, yeah, that's okay. Funny how all of a sudden you can get makeup or get cheekbones out of makeup. Because I woke up this morning and I thought, I had some tater tots last night. So my husband's in this band, you know, and they decided they wanted to go do karaoke after the show, so it was late. And of course I ate, put some mascara on. You guys, I'll be right back. Out of the lip kit, I tried 2 of these the other day. I thought this was gonna be a lot warmer than it ended up being, and I used that to kind of tone it down a little bit, and it wasn't perfect. I am gonna use the lighter color pink though. Let's just see how this looks the rest of the face today. I did like the way it dried down. So as far as like a matte liquid lip, actually really liked it. Okay, you guys, so here's my take on the Laura Lee Nudie 2 palette. I think it's a great everyday palette. I think it gave me a lot of the color stories. It gave me some flexibility, meaning I got some warm shades out of it that I could wear to work. I got some pink shades, cooler shades that I could also wear to work, but then I could, you know, use it to just kind of feel polished on any given day. It's called Nudie 2. It's not called living your best life, going clubbing. It's not called the perfect summer vacation palette. It's Nudie 2. This is an everyday palette. This reminds me a lot of what I think some of the earlier Urban Decay palettes were supposed to be. I didn't get into those. I didn't fall in love with them. So this is actually, I'm excited to have it. I think I'll get some use out of it. I kind of feel like it looks a little bit, like I'm gonna show you guys here. It looks a little bit to me like the KKW palettes. Let me grab, I'm gonna grab one of them just for comparison. So this is the Laura Lee palette. This is the KKW palette. They're like exactly the same size. If you look at it, so there's Laura Lee right next to one of the old KKW palettes. So very, very similar in size. This must be the Classic Blossom. If you were to compare the two, if you didn't know, you'd almost think that the Laura Lee was a KKW palette, wouldn't you? Actually, as I look at this, are these supposed to be dupes for each other? Those two look very similar. Those two maybe. I don't really have a corally shade in here. And then we got the browns. I mean, they're very similar. Interesting, isn't it? All right, you guys. And then as far as the lips go, I like the formula. They dry down matte like they're supposed to. I don't know if the tones are exactly spot on for me. I think that they work when I've got a lip liner, maybe not just on their own. My take on it. And then this blush palette, this was the cheek palette that I picked up. Blush Aesthetic cheek palette. Yeah, you know what? I think the colors worked out really well. I was a little intimidated by this, but it was a sheer wash of color, and I think it worked well with my cream products that I had underneath it. The only shade in here that's a little bit off for me is this shimmer over here, because it is a gold shimmer, and I don't know that that really works as a highlighter for me. This feels like it might be for a darker complexion, and I don't really know what to do with this shade because it's too light for me to use as a blush. It's not really a pressed powder. I don't know. I think maybe they were trying to do too much with this, to cover too many skin tones. I don't know. I liked the coral colors. I like the pinks. I like the fact that you get the variety of both. So between the two of these, between the blush palette and the eyeshadow palette, I mean, pretty much your base is covered, don't you think? These two right here. All right, you guys. That's it for today's video. Thank you guys for sticking around with me as I came back and did part 2 on this, but I did want to give the eyeshadow a fair shake. This actually ended up going a little warmer than I thought it would be. But yeah, it's still pink, still purple, but not quite as corally as the few minutes ago when you're watching this video. If you're not already subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I know that occasionally YouTube goes and unsubscribes people, especially if you're subscribed to more than 1,000, I think is what the algorithm is. So you might want to just double check and make sure you're still subscribed. Even so, I do try to upload Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, sometimes extra things by request. I've got a couple requests that I'm working on, so I'll try to get those up as soon as I possibly can. Be patient with me, guys. I travel a lot for work. I'm super busy with my husband's band, my own regular job, parenting, and so things don't always get up as quickly as I'd like them to, but I will get to them. So anyway, hope you guys are doing really well, and until my next video, bye for now.